We are live! Oh my gosh, welcome to Talk Chef. I am one of your hosts, Reka.
I'm your other host, Jordan.
And today we have such an incredibly special guest. You guys who have been paying attention and watching along with us, seen her in season 1, you'll know her, you'll love her. It's Chef Leanne Wong. Leanne, we are beyond excited. You were a favorite of our fans when we went through season 1, and now you're here. We're so excited. Yeah, so I guess just like we always kind of ask people we always ask people like, oh, were you a fan of the show? But you're uniquely in the first season.
Yeah, you are the show.
You are the show.
And then I produced it for 4.5 years.
Yes, so you were telling us.
I actually developed a lot of the challenges. So
okay,
wait, can we already dive into a question? What is your favorite challenge you came up with?
Oh, the Blindfold taste test challenge.
Okay.
So I was actually under a table with, and there was one season we did it where Rocco DiSpirito was like a judge.
I remember.
And I think I was like handing him ingredients from under the table, like looking at like his and Padma's crotches.
Oh,
so that was
what a place to be.
Yes, yeah. I want to live there.
Yeah. Holding a tiny little tasting jar of
yeah, but
looking right into Padma's crotch.
Yeah, I know. No, the mise en place relay race actually was we did that for season 3, and that was actually the interesting thing was that was brought back for the All-Star season last year. So
you got one. Yeah, you got to taste your own medicine a little bit.
Yeah, with the almonds. Ooh, the group that had to do the almonds, I was like, damn. That's
too hard. Too hard. Wow. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We're so excited. And, we're kicking off this episode. We're watching the new season, Top Chef Portland, season 18. And first, I just want to start the show off by saying last season, we did season 3 of Top Chef. We were watching an old season. We were raising money for the Hollywood Food Coalition, which is an absolutely incredible organization where Rake and I both donate here in Los Angeles. And y'all ended up raising $911 for Hollywood Food Coalition over the course of the season, which is awesome. So thank you so much if you watched, if you donated, if you told literally anyone about the show. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you. And this season, we are raising money for Heart of Dinner, which is an incredible New York City-based organization that helps provide food, meals, anything that might be needed by elderly Asian American people in New York City. So they don't have to leave their house, get on the subway, do anything. It can just be directly brought to them. It's all volunteer-powered, and it's a great organization, and we're excited to raise money for them all season.
Yeah, and as usual, guys, this is a food-based charity show. If you want to donate to Heart of Dinner, we will be taking donations all season long. And we don't know, season 18 could be 7,000 episodes. We don't know. This is the first time Jordan and I are going in without knowing every single thing about the season. So if you do want to donate, hit up Jordan's Venmo at JORDANMY. R1CK. That's in the chat. It's in the description of the show. And if you want to donate privately and you're like, screw your Venmo system, that's wonderful too.
Yeah, get that tax write-off.
Yeah, get that little tax write-off. And if you want to send that receipt to us so we include it in our season, like capped, oh, here's what we made this year or this season. Great. You can do that too. Very flexible. So it's a great organization. Give it a gander. Give it a $1 or $2. So that's our first order of business. Our second order of business, Leanne, actually, much like every episode of Top Chef has a quick fire, every episode of Talk Chef has a quick fire. Now, this is not a cooking quick fire.
Okay.
We ask you 10 questions quick fire, but I will say, maybe you can confirm, this is the fastest quick fire in Top Chef history. It's 45 seconds. Has there ever been anything shorter than
that really sucked. I remember, what was it they were supposed to do? What season was that?
In I remember
That's like season 3 or season 4 or something like that.
The shortest one that's coming to mind right now is when Tom made like a dish out of some sort of fish. Yeah. And it was like, cook this faster than Tom does it. And he did it in 8 minutes.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Okay. Something like that.
So I will admit that I don't have TV since I moved to Hawaii. I left TV behind. So
that's absolutely fine. These questions aren't like TV or like trivia related. They're all Leanne questions, like what your preferences are, kind of thing. So are you ready for the fastest quickfire, I think, in Top Chef history?
Sure.
Okay. So Jordan will start the timer from when I finish question 1.
Okay.
All right. Have you been to Portland?
Yes.
What is one ingredient you can't live without?
Butter.
What cheese would pair best with Mexican chocolate?
I would say cotija.
Do you make sound effects in the kitchen?
Sometimes. Depends on my mood.
What is your favorite bird to cook?
Duck.
What is your least favorite bird to cook?
Turkey.
Ooh, blind judging or regular judging?
Blind judging.
Who's the most intimidating judge you've had?
Oh, geez. You mean I personally, or
on
just that I've seen on the show? Joël Robuchon. We were the first show to ever get Joël Robuchon on the show.
Damn.
On American TV. It was crazy.
Okay.
That was the Vegas season.
The Vegas season. Yes. Okay. We were so close to the end. We missed 2 questions. It's okay, Leanne. I didn't even tell you what the prizes were. Maybe that would have like put a big.
Oh, was I supposed to actually get it in 45 seconds? I'm sorry.
It's totally okay. Here's what the prizes were.
I'm not very good at this game.
No, you're absolutely fine. I can't believe I didn't even tell you what the prizes were. One of the prizes was a deed to the Terlato wine vineyard. Okay. So Terlato wine, as you know, big Top Chef.
Yeah.
Do you like that one?
Have you had it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the Terlato. That was like season 5.
Yeah.
Season 5. I remember.
So we would give you a deed. Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
The Terlato wine is that it cannot be purchased anywhere by anyone. We have tried extensively.
As a civilian, yeah, I'm not able to taste it, but we would have given you a deed to the Terlato wine vineyard, which I think is located in, I don't know, the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And the smallest bottle is 2,000 gallons.
Yes.
We also would have given you your own personalized suite of broken GE appliances, just like you sometimes see on the show.
Actually... This hits very close to home. You don't understand. Like physically, the culinary producer at the end of the day, I built those sets. Like I like set the racks on the Metro shelf all at the same height for the pantry. Now they get to spread that shit all over. There was a time when the pantry was like all like just Metro shelves. It was like an actual room. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah. No. There's a lot of hurt and old equipment in there.
Oh my god.
Well, now on this new season, they're complaining about how big the kitchen is. You saw that? Like,
it is like when the kitchen is that big and you don't know where the ice machine is. Oh wait, I'm supposed to know the ice is located off the set behind like a wall, a fake wall. Like, okay.
I'm sure there's a weird balance.
Blind on that challenge and you don't know where anything is. And then, there's like one working sink in the entire facility and 18 chefs are supposed to share it. It's crazy.
Oh my God. What a nightmare.
The pickles are on the other side of the room. Yeah.
So that tells me you don't get to do any kind of walkthrough of the kitchen or get like a map.
No, I mean, like for the most part, you get a basic, and that's why it's like when they stop down the camera, everyone's like edging over towards the pantry, like, what is that? What's on that shelf? So
that is truly fascinating because I bet you too, there is a way that it is set up to look better on TV that is maybe not ideal for cooking, maybe too. Like,
no, they're pretty good.
That's good.
The pantry's thorough, and I think as somebody who's actually helped to build that pantry, and like establish what goes in the pantry, because trust me, the pantry on season 1, God bless them, was like not quite what it is today.
What were some of the things that were like obvious but were missing from that pantry, if you remember?
We had like one set of Calphalon each. Like there's just like an endless amount of pots and pans now, but we had maybe each like one set of Calphalon under our table, and then there was like maybe like a couple more sets in the pantry.
Yeah, but like one spoon for everyone.
We had it was like a Hamilton Beach bar blender as a blender.
Made margaritas after the challenge.
Yeah, there you go.
It was pretty much all they were good for, you know? So I mean, like it's to see how far the show has come. And I just remember like we'd literally sit on the couch. It was like me and Dave Martin and Harold, and we would like joke about how, oh, they're gonna be like sponsored by like Evian and Pellegrino Sunday, and they're gonna take trips to France and Europe, and like, yeah.
and you know what? You called it. Yeah. Truly incredible. Wow. So let's start off. Speaking of later seasons, we've got Portland coming in freaking hot, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, I think the way that they set up this season was genius by bringing in, you know, with COVID, you have to have a closed set. Everyone's got to get tested. Basically, everyone is living on location and only interacting with themselves amongst that group. No, you know, as limited outer world contact. So I think it was brilliant of them to bring in a rotating set of like Top Chef.
And to me, I mean, kind of jumping ahead to like, you know, the judging section, I loved having that many people tasting the food, because I felt like every type of cuisine, not every type, but a lot more than normal were represented. So you had someone to say, you had Dale Talde being like, hey, this is the official dish of the Philippines, but you know, this isn't quite right. Or you had people who are familiar with Latin American cuisine that are able to speak to. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So I was a big fan, and I love seeing all our familiar friends and familiar
friends,
eating at a table. So let's actually start with the quick fire. I thought this was an excellent quick fire. The challenge was use ingredients you can't live without to make like a group challenge dish. So you're paired with two other people and their ingredients they can't live without. What do you guys think of that as a challenge, especially you, Leanne, as like a game maker for this show?
I mean, I think that was a really easy softball. Like in terms of the format of like, you know, take three people, something like put it together, you know, is very a la mixed basket kind of thing. And I think they've done that. We've done that in a couple different quick fires or a couple different challenges, and it's always fun, you know. So, but yeah, I think the combinations were. The only one that was like really super challenging was clearly like the chocolate caul-fat cheese combo.
Yes. Oh my God.
But at the end of the day, I was like, get some meat, mix some cheese in, wrap it in the caul-fat, make like a savory like mole style sauce with, you know, or like cocoa or something like that. Grate some coffee on it. I don't know, but like it was they made a beautiful dish. Like.
For sure. And actually, let's go through these real quick. So like, just to breeze through the ingredients, which I found, the reason I like this challenge, even though I totally agree, like I think when I heard, ooh, what's the ingredient you can't live without, I thought, ooh, Padma's going to take them away. Like she's going to say, you can't use Tillamook butter or whatever. What I appreciate is it gives you a little bit of like intel on the person. I like getting to know them in episode 1 when there's so many people there. So you have the yellow team, their ingredients are Mexican chocolate, Gruyere, and caul-fat. And the dish they ended up making was pork loin roasted in caul-fat with mole and a Gruyere gremolata. That's good to me.
Yeah. Delicious.
Gruyere gremolata.
Oh yeah, I want it.
I want to try that. The red team had apple chutney. I believe like, was it mushroom or like
mushroom powder and plantains?
Yes, and plantains.
Yeah.
That seemed a little challenging to me, but they made like a surf and turf. I mean, I guess it didn't do super well, but they made a surf and turf, a scallop and mushrooms with a tomato sofrito mofongo, mushroom puree, and an apple chutney vinaigrette.
Yeah.
Sounds great to me. I love mofongo.
It
So
sounds busy, but it sounds
does
so
sound busy.
Sure.
Yes. Ultimately, my favorite type of food is a pile. I put everything, I'm Indian American, all foods I just like mix together and like, so that I'm fine with it.
I feel that. I texted Reika earlier today. I hate subtle flavor because we were talking about
the Kaiseki challenge in season 17.
Challenge, yeah.
the one that I just missed.
I know. I've been rewatching that season, and I was so upset that fucking clafouti in that damn steamer setting.
All good.
But that Kaiseki challenge is so interesting to me from like a food history and knowledge perspective. But yeah, I think Jordan and I are similar in this way. We are such like, I want my flavor to fucking knock me unconscious. Like,
well, I think what's interesting about Kaiseki, and I worked at 2 Kaiseki restaurants in Japan, one in Kanazawa and one in Kyoto, and Japanese cooking is very subtle.
Totally.
You know? So sometimes it can be bold, you know, when you think about more sort of like common food. But when you think about a kaiseki meal, it's really about seasonality. It's really about, you know, and what's great about Japan is like anytime you go, and I've made it a point to visit each month of the year because they don't consider it 4 seasons. They consider it 12 seasons with like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so you can go in January and find like the best daikon radish and the best cabbage and like, you know, and it's like when you go in March, there's this little herb, the sancho pepper leaf called like kinome, and you can only get it for like 2 months during like springtime with like, and it's just this fresh flavor that like it cannot be imitated anywhere. So it's just kaiseki is and it's universal across Japan, you know, regionally, wherever you go, you're going to find different, very modern or contemporary or very old school interpretations of kaiseki. But like, it's what's amazing is that no matter where you go in Japan, you know that when you have a kaiseki meal, it's like the chef is like, that's their chance to honor the season and honor nature and honor like, oh, just it's so incredible. And then like the whole theater of it where you're like eating off of like plates that are like 300 years old, you know? So it's,
I was looking at Ed Naka's menu as I am wont to do today, and it did look incredible.
Yeah, and she's using, you know, and she's kind of taking that local California ingredient seasonality and really applying Japanese technique to it. And that's, you know, that's incredible, you know.
That's rad as hell. Yeah, we love that.
Reika, we got to go to Japan.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, drag me.
my happy place.
Oh man, Tokyo is the coolest place I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Why do I live here? Anyway, moving right along, we've got the brown team. Their ingredients were Meyer lemon, salted anchovy, and Scotch bonnet peppers.
Those are just like 3 ingredients that make sense together.
Exactly. I was like, I would eat those like
sandwich
by themselves.
I actually have you know, I said butter, but anchovies is actually the other thing. And I have, I buy like occasionally I'll go to like Whole Foods and they'll have like Spanish anchovies on ice and I'll buy all of them. I'm like, and I'll be like, I'll take all your anchovies, and they'll kind of look at me. I'm like, they're like, that's like 8 pounds. I'm like,
I said what I said. That is such a chef baller move, like the equivalent of like ordering drinks for the bar. You go and order all the anchovies.
All the anchovies. And, you know, meantime, I got this old lady just giving me a dirty look because it's taking forever.
So funny.
But no, and then I started making my own fish sauce. I've made my own garum. So I like take the bodies and salt cure them and I just leave them in my garden. So I have like my first jar, I put into 2 like eyedropper bottles. And I call it Wong's Anchovy Gold. And it's like,
do you sell that? Do you sell it?
No, I like literally made like less than 4 ounces. It took like 6 months. You need a lot of anchovies, a lot of bodies.
That's why you got to buy out the whole store. Damn, you got to get like
an industry. My neighbors would be happy with me.
Yeah, if you do start to sell it, please let me know. Not everyone. I don't know what to say everyone.
Yeah, don't tell anyone except
no, tell me specifically. I love fish sauce, and that sounds so incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually, you know what? I'll work on something.
Thank you.
I have an idea, but I'm working on it. Okay.
Okay,
And if
I'm
you have
so
any
excited.
vegetarian things that you need to work on, you need a taste tester. I'll eat anything that has a vegetable in it. Okay, so the dish the brown team made was a harissa seared halibut with Meyer lemon and anchovy salsa verde, roasted hot pepper relish, and an herb salad. I mean, I'm all the way there.
Yum
Really
yum.
simple dish.
The blue team's ingredients were kombu, butter, and rice vinegar.
I'm so surprised that they whiffed that one because I'm like, seared scallops and a kombu rice vinegar butter. Like that's like pretty much it. Like the dish, the sauce root itself. And it was interesting to hear that there was neither enough presence of butter nor enough acid. When I'm like, you know.
It's funny because that was when I heard just the ingredients, I was like, oh, to me, in addition to the brown team, that seemed like the easiest to sort of pair.
Yeah, the slam dunk.
Yeah. I love all these chefs on this team, so I believe in them. I believe this was just a little whiff. But yeah, apparently the judges didn't like it so much.
No, but I mean, it was just like I think the ingredients were beautiful. I mean,
Totally.
Shota obviously is like a very skilled chef, and
we're
obsessed,
Leanne. We're obsessed.
We love him. Huge fans. It's amazing how attached, like imprinting you become to a chef in the first episode.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
We're just like, yeah, Jordan and I independently, because we're disgusting.
Have your wolf moment.
we had our wolf moment, first of all, independently. And then she texted me, she's like, who are your favorite 3 chefs from this so far? And I texted her and she's like, Reka. And those are her 3 favorites. Like, listen, you just imprint on who, and hey, we have the same imprint taste. I don't know.
Sorry.
The green team was gosh, I missed one of these ingredients. It was smoked trout roe, fish sauce, and yes. So they made a halibut mamella with fish sauce, butterscotch, and smoked trout roe crema.
Sure.
Yeah, I would give it, because we're giving all of these a thumbs up, I'd give it like a slight less thumbs up just than the other ones, because the other ones sound a little bit.
It's just weird that like you have got a corn tart and a piece of fish sitting on it. Like,
yes.
Like like if the fish was like shredded and broken up and like as like, you know, like the tart and like
yeah. But like
so, I also think that, and this might be wrong, Leanne, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like roe of many kinds can often be overused a little bit in fine dining. And maybe I don't eat a lot of fine dining because I don't have much money, but I do find that like anytime I see a fine dining dish or menu, I feel like every single dish has some kind of roe or caviar on it.
But you know, I mean, it's interesting because caviar used to be peasant food. It's just not, you know, I love caviar. If it's got caviar on it, whatever the price, I'll probably order it. So I like that. For me, it's about the texture and the that salty little pop, you know?
Yeah.
So like we have different, like I use different levels of caviar at my restaurant, but like we have like a dynamite sauce, you know, with like Tobiko fish roe in it, and sometimes it's Masago, which is a much smaller, finer texture. And then we marinate our salmon roe. So yeah, and then I'm actually curing mahi roe, so we get fresh mahis right from out front because my restaurant is right on Lahaina Harbor. So the fishermen just bring in these giant mahis, and I've actually gotten into salt curing the roe and like drying it and using it like batarga. So it's pretty good.
If I know you're not technically bragging, just say anything about your life or your restaurant and it is a brag.
Yeah, that's true. A restaurant that just like sits on a beautiful harbor in Hawaii. If we've got any Hawaiian viewers, get your little buns over to Leanne's restaurant. My God.
It's interesting because it was like last summer, COVID summer, it was me and 2 other people, and we ran the restaurant all summer by ourselves, like everything. Garbage, dishes, trash, like
wow.
Yeah. Basically refurnishing. We did the floors, painted the restaurant. So it was just you know, there's a lot of heart and soul that goes into it, and we're very fortunate that we feel that it's coming back and we're busy now. So
hell yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm so glad you guys are busy. There's so many restaurants where like I would be so fucking sad if after COVID they were gone.
there are a lot of restaurants that, you know, and I think even a lot of our top chefs have suffered closures and had to make and really pivot for the sake of their lives and their livelihoods, you know. So it's really it's interesting to see how COVID has, you know, out of the ashes, you know, new stuff is reborn and new opportunities are born. And I think that's the one thing that chefs are always very good at, is being able to, like, you know, pivot and then, you know, go in another direction. So
totally. Yeah, I mean, in this season, if you guys, you know, didn't get to catch this episode yet, it does, you know, acknowledge COVID, and, you know, there's even like a little beginning beat where they just talk about like, I lost this restaurant, I had to furlough these employees, da, 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 da. So it's very much a part of the season in a very necessary way, which is really heartbreaking to see. Speaking of rising from the ashes, though, our elimination challenge, I have termed is birds. It's cook an Oregon bird. And then we got birds. Yeah, we got 5 birds.
I mean, I've done some nice birds. I've done some really terrible birds on the show. So.
What's your favorite bird you've cooked on the show and your least favorite, if you remember?
I mean, like the duck I cooked on that mountain in the blizzard, considering it was like my one episode of appearance and I ended up in Winter Circle. That was a good duck.
Oh, do you mean when you were pregnant and camping on a snowy mountain in Colorado?
How to Kill a Wong, yeah. So yeah.
Dear God. I was like, they can change the challenge because someone's pregnant, right? But I guess no.
That was like a genuine freak out moment when the cameras turned off, and like after the quick fire thing, and both Claudette and myself got put back in the show when they're like, you're going camping. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I can't go camping. I can't go camping. And like, I just got here. I'm having like, I can't go camping.
Unreal.
That was crazy, but it was good. That was a good duck. And then the really bad duck was the art challenge on season 17. That was like a really
yes, where you guys got assigned like
that was like a giant fail. I've never been in a situation where I'm like, I'm shaking and there's too much going on, and I've definitely put too much on my plate, and now I'm screwed. Like that's just
that was your like the duck and the duck egg, right? Like the mother.
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, I
thought it was a cool idea.
So much more simpler and so much easier, and like literally, I could have made a dish in an hour, and I didn't. I like overcomplicated it as I normally do. So it's just, you know.
We have some love for you. There's a lot of love for you in this chat right now, and some Christine, one of our regular viewers, says that they had a lot of like tough love, respect for you during that because they were very tired during their entire pregnancy. And oh boy, so yeah, you're well loved in this chat, Leanne.
Yes, I do. If I may pop in with a quick question from the fans, people are wondering, because such a big talking point we had about your first season 1, was how absolutely toxic and chaotic the reunion episode was.
Oh gosh.
And people are just asking if you're still traumatized by that.
I like barely. So the reunion.
I don't know if a lot of people remember. It seemed like people were hammered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people were hammered, and then like some people came to set in like full makeup with like an entourage, which I found really odd. Some people, you know, like we're all grown-ups now, but I think at the time it was very difficult because that was like Hell's Kitchen kind of came out at the same time that Top Chef debuted the first season, and that was a very different show with, I think, very different sort of contestants. And what was interesting was that we just didn't understand how popular the show was going to be.
Sure.
Like when you're called, and I tell this I tell this story to everybody because it's true. But like when the casting director, Randy Bernstein, called me, he was like, yeah, we're going to do the show for Bravo. We're thinking about calling it Top Chef. I'm like, and at the time the words Top Chef had never been heard together. They didn't make sense together. I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like,
that's so funny.
It makes sense. That's not like a ranking. That's not like a title.
Yeah.
Top Chef. I'm like,
I've
Yeah.
never thought of that.
Gold star cook, A+ food person.
Yeah. So we, you know, and it's interesting. Again, I remember when we went to go film the Vegas finale, and that like we had filmed in the fall of 2005, and then like October, November, and then we did the finale, I think in like March in Vegas, you know, so a couple months later. And I remember walking through Mandalay Bay with Steven and God, was he with us? Yeah. Steven and I think Miguel. And people were just like yelling at us. People were just like, oh my God, Top Chef. Like,
Already.
it was weird, you know, because it's like it is reality TV. You know, you're not a celebrity, you don't act for a living, you cook for a living. We're all essentially line cooks and up and coming sous chefs and stuff like that. And so it was just a very crazy experience to see it blow up that way. And then just the popularity got behind it, and then like sort of like corporate America got behind it, and it was just
hefty.
Yeah, it's cool to see where it is now, you know. I mean, I think it's definitely well oiled, and it's got, you know, I just remember filming season 6 in Vegas, and we had that table with like, we had like that episode with like Christian Delouvier and Daniel Boulud and Thomas Keller and Joel Robuchon, and like I was just, and you know, Hubert Keller, and I'm like, we've made it. Like,
I mean,
we've totally made it. Like, we're totally legit, you know. And
absolutely.
yeah, you know, and that's cool because there hasn't been a show that had done that yet, you know.
Absolutely.
And I would argue too, like someone asked last week on the show, oh, if I'm, you know, finished with Top Chef, what's another show that scratches this itch? And I'm not blowing smoke. I'm like, I don't know. For me, there's nothing. This is the best reality TV cooking competition show out there. It's to me, it's leagues. It's not even comparable to a Chopped or to a Hell's Kitchen or to anything. I feel like it focuses on the food and somehow gives you the personality at the same time, especially during the later seasons. I feel like it really like teaches people about cooking and about being creative while cooking.
Yeah, and different cultures. I think no other culinary show is really diving into so many different cultures and letting people bring their own cultures. I mean, like, especially, you know, in the last few seasons, it's like, and even in the earlier seasons, it's like people really bring themselves. I mean, I'm from the South, I'm from New Orleans, and I remember watching, you know, like Carla make a lot of Southern food and really elevating it in a way that like I personally hadn't seen on TV or anywhere, like when I was in high school. So, or, you know, with Greg doing Haitian food, there's just so much, I don't know, it's so cool.
It's secretly educational in a way that I'm like, you know, it's inspirational. I immediately after watching Top Chef want to go cook. I made a fucking carrot soup because I watched Gregory wax poetic about a carrot on the vegetarian challenge in season 17. It's just, it's beautiful.
Greg like lived on a steady diet of like almond butter and like cookies and jam in the house.
My king. We truly love. So beautiful. So hopping back to this challenge, it's a challenge about cooking local Oregon birds, and the options are quail, duck, chucker, which I had never heard as a name. Partridge. Turkey.
Oh, that's all it is?
Yeah, it's partridge. But they keep calling it chucker, even though whoever was presenting,
it's like somewhere between quail and squab.
Yeah. I just never heard. It sounds like an Indian word to me, so I was like, "What is this?" So there's 5 options. are like winners from the quickfire, which was the team Meyer Lemon, Salted Anchovy, Scotch Bonnet, which was Sasha, Sarah, and Kiki. They get to choose their bird. They all choose quail, I believe.
Yeah.
And then everyone else, has to do a knife pull to get whatever bird. And they're told they're going to get a blind tasting where the judges will not know whose dish is whose, and you really should like present you on a plate.
Yeah.
Which I always love. We miss our little. Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
Well, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think it is a little funny when we do a blind tasting this early in the show, because it's like, yeah, you already don't know these people is what it kind of feels like. It's like, it already feels a little bit like a blind tasting to me.
No, I think it's, the blind tasting's great because it really does. It's, it's like The Voice. It kind of just takes any bias out of it. And I think, it's just you're presented with a plate of food and you can judge the food solely on its merits.
And I imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Leanne, like for you as a chef, if you're told it's a blind tasting, that might focus your gears a little bit more. Like,
I would have done more blind tastings. I just, that's, I think half of the challenge, like once you get through it and you're able to cook the food and get it done within the time limit is like, now I got to go up and blubber in front of the judges and present and like, I'm sweaty and I can't find words and I don't know how to sell them a restaurant concept. Is this for here? Is this for Hawaii? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, Hanai Mama sounds like a bullshit.
Like this pretty much. That was my experience anyway. I'm like,
yeah, that totally makes sense.
Restaurant wars, this is complicated. Do I really win? This is not winning.
It seemed like a huge pain in the ass if you won that restaurant.
Okay, so prime example, wedding challenge. I've been through that where you present a concept and suddenly you have to execute it. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to win this challenge. I have no desire to win this challenge. Please.
Absolutely not.
Please let me be a line cook. Jesus.
Absolutely.
That's a good way to think about it. So I hadn't really thought about it like that. And Jason in the chat is echoing those same sentiments as like, not just a blind tasting in the sense that they like don't know you, but you also don't have to come out and talk and sell your food, which I didn't even think about that, so that totally makes sense. Sometimes I do wish though, I'm like, what if we did a blind tasting like later in the season when they like know the chefs a little better? Is that still fun, or would they just like know who everyone's thinking?
I think it's pretty easy depending on the challenge to tell people's culinary styles. I don't know. It's however, the producers are pretty crafty, so I'm sure they'll come up with some very exciting challenges.
They do a blind taste test, but make food that doesn't seem like yours.
Yeah, make food that seems like the person to your left.
Yeah.
Here's my thing is that I think throughout the years and throughout the season, there have been times when you'll see a challenge, you're like, they really couldn't think of anything. Mm-hmm. Like they honestly could, like where it's not about the food or the merit of the food, or there's some gimmick involved where it's like suddenly you got to swap ingredients or like move to the next station. I'm like, that's not really about somebody's personal cooking. You know what I mean?
What I was just about to say is something I really appreciate about this episode is there's no goofy, weird cartoon challenges. I know Jordan loves this challenge. It is dumb. I love it too. It is dumb. But having to make cookies for Cookie Monster in season 8 is so funny and silly, but it is. No, but what I'm saying is, I think the pandemic bubble.
That's not gimmicky. That's like you actually have to make a good cookie, right?
That's true. That is true. Okay, bad example. How about I use the example in season 9 where they had to ride on bicycles to different restaurants to cook their food.
I like that too. What do you want from me? I like
is that part of the challenge?
Yeah, so they have to ride a bicycle because Pee Wee Herman was judging the challenge. I like a gimmick. I'm sorry. And
that seems like a B-roll shot. I don't know.
Well, no, what it was, it's much more intense than what we're making it sound. Basically, they had 4 restaurants, and it's like you have to bike all around Austin to get ingredients. And then you have to end up at a restaurant and be like, can I cook in your kitchen? And of course, they've been pre-screened, so they're going to say yes. But if another chef is there, you can't cook there. So then you have to go to the next restaurant on your bike with all your crap in your basket. For me,
basement in the Alamo.
That's exactly what it's based on. and okay, let me rephrase. I don't mind a gimmicky thing, but for season 18, a thing I like is like, I like returning the fact that they can't go like, hey, ride in a hot air balloon and see if you can fry an egg in the sun, or whatever. They have to keep it so contained into the kitchen, which I like.
Yeah, you know, and I think everybody did it really. They have a great set of judges, and you know, to film the show, I remember just like raising my eyebrows when I heard they were filming season 18 in the middle of the pandemic. I was like, but you know, I think they're gonna pull it off in a really great way, and you know, everybody who's at that judges table is, you know, successful and has gone on to do different things in their careers, and so they all bring a very unique perspective, I think, you know, having been through the process multiple times, some of them. And then also just, you know, again, I think there's that little bit of empathy and compassion, and also being like, haha, like, you know, it was pretty cutthroat on my season and now I get to be so I think it's a good panel of judges, and I think that you know, somebody like Melissa, who is so nice, but she doesn't mince words, you know, she like is very like blunt and forthcoming with her opinions, and I think that you're gonna see a lot of that this season, you know.
I bet.
I'm so excited. I'm sorry I said fuck you, but I love that Cookie Monster challenge.
No, and in retrospect, it is like, okay, Marty Robinson is eating the cookie. It's not just Telly eating a fake cookie or whatever. So I think that's a real challenge. It is very silly.
They actually had Cookie Monster as the judge eating the cookie.
Yes. And okay, I used to work at the Jim Henson Company, so I know for a fact there's a special recipe for cookies that go in his mouth that can't have oil in them because it'll ruin the puppet. So the thing he's eating is like a piece of crap or whatever that breaks apart really easily. Yeah, exactly. And then I am sure there's a sad puppeteer underneath that's like,
wow, what a fun time. Wow, we're getting the insight on a whole nother show. But you know, I will say, I hate that challenge in New Orleans where he plays the trumpet.
Oh, the musical chairs?
Different stations. That one is stupid.
I think that challenge is actually straight up rude. This is a musical chairs type challenge where basically it's kind of what you were saying, Leanne, where like they all start cooking something and then they are told this ahead of time, but basically there's a trumpeter, I'm forgetting his name, but he plays the trumpet and you play musical chairs and then you walk around until he stops and you get to a new station.
So dumb.
I think maybe you can do that once and call it a challenge, but they do it 3 or 4 times and and then they judge you on the dish. That's what is incomprehensible to me.
So I used to.
You didn't make half of it.
No, really stupid challenge. Okay, so it was I forget what season it was, but I used to fly between New York and Hawaii. I would take American Airlines, and so I just remember on one of the long haul flights, I think it was like I had like a layover in LA or whatever, but I like wake up from my nap and I'm like in, I think Economy Plus or some shit like that. And like they have the TV on the front of the section and everyone's got their headphones on. So everyone's watching the TV up front. And I'm like, don't have my headphones on. And they're showing Top Chef and they're showing a quick fire and it's Padma. And I forget who it is, but somebody comes out. I think it might've been Michelle Bernstein. I don't know, but like she comes out with a cloche and she unfolds it and it's got blindfolds. Yeah. And I'm like watching everybody on the plane is like so engaged in the show. And I'm like looking at this and I don't have my headphones on. I'm like, this is so dumb. I could hear Padma right now being like, every chef knows his kitchen blindfolded, like the back of his hand or whatever. Okay. And I'm like watching the entire challenge without sound. And I'm like, this is just garbage.
That is season 9. Yeah. Where they have to go get all their stuff blindfolded and whatever they get, they have to cook with it. And they're like, oh shit, I thought I was picking up an avocado, but I got a pear or whatever. And now I have to make guacamole or whatever it is. And it's very funny the way they'll try to tie it in. They'll be like, yeah, every chef knows ingredients like the back of their hand. But what if we removed the back of your head? You know?
There's a reason why there aren't that many blind chefs in the world. Like, unfortunately, I just, you know, it's it's something that, content wise, that you can just, I like that the show is more serious now. And I like that the show allows chefs to present their own food pretty much all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, we got so many bird dishes.
Yeah.
To go through here.
All right, let's start with squabs.
Let's go with squabs. We got Gabriel on the roasted squab with local honey, charred onion petals, and grilled plums and jus.
Male confidence.
Oh, Leanne. The energy from him was stinking.
Yeah. It was absolutely broken brain in that quick fire when he's like, no, Tom Colicchio always does this. I used to work for him. I'm like, okay, bitch, well, he's not even judging this challenge.
Wow,
like,
what are you talking
who
about?
cares? What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Maybe he's the best person in the entire world, but in that moment, I was like, sir, you need to tap out and like, I need to replace you in this show. Because that was a stupid thing to say.
And also, maybe he is the nicest person in the world, but I don't know. There is something like no amount of editing can make you say Colicchio and Sons 7 times.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. Whatever. His dish sounded good. Byron made a sweet Thai-styled grilled squab with green mango jicama salad, a sweet potato cake, coconut sauce, and herb oil. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Maria made enchiladas potosinas stuffed with a braised squab and queso fresco over goat cheese crema. That sounded so good.
Yes, I think the commentary was the squab was drowning in sauce. They couldn't find the squab.
That is actually Jordan's turn on word.
Out of bed, I mean, honestly.
I'm like, drown me in sauce, baby. That's mine. I don't mind if I can't find my food in the sauce.
Yes, I love a sauce. But I get that. For the duck people, we had Roscoe making duck adobo with sweet potato dumplings.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that didn't make too much sense to me at conception.
I was there at conception, but once I saw the picture of what he made, I didn't understand it and thought maybe he was talking about a different adobo than what I know to be adobo.
Right, same.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what kind of adobo he was talking about. Like, like Asian Hawaiian adobo is like soy sauce and vinegar and garlic and pepper and, and there's obviously Latin style adobo, which involves a lot of spices. And I don't know about the adobo. I'm not sure what spices he used on the duck, but I just know that like he, like overcooked duck breast it's hard.
Yeah.
The winner with overcooked duck breast, and
yes.
Yeah, I mean, like I actually liked Roscoe. Like when he first came on the episode, I was like, oh, he's a pit master for Rodney Scott. I love Rodney Scott. I actually I filmed a demo for Manfire Food with him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So before Roger Mooking, I had tested for it and we went down to Rodney Scott Barbecue in South Carolina and like did this like overnight thing and stayed at this like motel, creepy motel in the middle of nowhere and got up at like 1 a.m. and it was like filming in his pit and it was great. I got to get on a plane and fly back to New York City with like literally barbecue chicken in my purse. And, like I like it because it's only a 2-hour flight from South Carolina up to New York City. And so like, and I live like 5 minutes from LaGuardia Airport. So it was like, yeah, like 3 hours later, I was like sitting on my couch with like a Rodney Scott barbecue chicken. It was amazing.
That's beautiful. Buy it a seat on the plane.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I thought Roscoe was really, I was rooting for him.
I know it's cool to have a pit master. I guess for this challenge and for a lot of Top Chef challenges, like I thought it was a little weird when Gail's criticism was like, well, we have someone that works for one of the best pit masters. I'm like, he can't do any of that in this challenge. There's no time. Yeah. Barbecue cannot be done in an hour or whatever.
Yeah, no, there is actually almost never, hardly ever a Top Chef situation where you're allowed to like cook for an extended part of time.
Oh my God. The only time that people did it, I remember it was either that, it's like overnight challenges, like chili, or they did a barbecue in the Texas season where they had to like just be awake all night, like nursing barbecue. I'm like, yeah, so you feel like shit in the morning. Got it. Yeah. So that was a bummer about Roscoe. Shota, our love, our pride and joy, the apple of our eye, made a soy braised duck breast with candied pecans, bonito flakes, and pumpkin white miso puree. You know I'm all the fuck over that.
Oh my God, a candied nut?
A candied nut? You can't get me to leave that dish.
Oh my God, we love.
And I loved just hearing him talk about the technique. I was talking to my friend Mike Trapp, who pointed out really rightfully, like when you can tell Tom a new technique, that's like pretty cool. Yeah. And that was rad.
Yeah, I also think that Shota is such an incredible combination of knowledgeable and educating while not being condescending. And I think that's really hard to find in a male chef from watching Top Chef and then also working in multiple different restaurants. That's just kind of my experience.
Leanne, we have this weird suspicion that a lot of male chefs are cocky and rude. Yeah. I don't know if that's based in anything. It might just be the books we're reading.
Yeah, but we might be wrong. But that being said, I want Shota to pick me up like a baby.
Yes.
Swaddle me in a blanket and tell me all about technique.
Yes. Right. Yes. I thought you were gonna say cook me like a duck.
No, he laughs like an old Japanese man. It's pretty cute.
Oh, his laugh is so sweet. We just listen. If you're like not here to listen to us talk about Shota, you're in the wrong place.
Sorry.
That's all we're talking about. I don't know how far he gets. We don't know. We don't care. He's our son and we love him.
Yeah, he's made our hearts.
Yes. So then Gabe made chintezle glazed duck with smoked mushrooms, charred onions, figs, and pasilla mija.
This sounds really good.
That was a beautiful dish.
That sounded so fucking good. I feel like Gabe is like I kind of forgot him until he presented this dish, and I was like, oh, you're like didn't he cook it? I'm mixing up their backstories. Did he cook it at Noma? Or I'm confusing him with someone. I don't remember. Anyway, he seems cool.
Yeah, he seems cool. I like him.
Yes. For quail, Team Quail, we have Sarah made glazed quail with green beans, charred dates, and a grilled eggplant coconut yogurt.
Yeah.
Listen.
That was delicious.
That's all day. Yes. Charred dates? Yes. Sasha made roasted quail with polenta, creme fraiche, roasted grapes, and red wine jus.
Yep.
Sounds really good. Yep. And then Kiki made quail with sweet corn grits, boiled and pickled peanuts. 2 thumbs way up. You say corn, Jordan and I will not leave.
Yeah, I got Rika. Have you showed everyone your gift?
I can show it to you right now.
This is her birthday, because if you watch the show, Rika and I are corn heads. We love corn. We can't get enough of it. Our CSA only gave it to us for like 1 week last year, and we bought so much of it. They were like, I guess they sold out of it for the season.
They literally wouldn't let us buy more corn. It was very upsetting. And the only thing I could do with it is I made Melissa King's corn soup.
Yeah, it was delicious. So I bought Rika a little candle that looks like a corn for her birthday this weekend.
So actually, we're both adults. So anyway, that was Team Quail. Team Turkey. Chris made a sous vide turkey breast and rum braised turkey thigh with toasted farro, roasted mushrooms, and a corn sous vide. That sounded okay. What do you think, Leanne?
It sounds a lot like turkey dinner.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it presents very much like a holiday meal. I think that was the commentary that I think maybe Dale had.
Yes.
Not to say that's not delicious. I would eat that meal once a year, twice a year. But like
that's fair.
No, it's hard, like turkey, it's like, okay, what can I do to be inspired by turkey? And I had to think like, what can you do in that time frame? I think it's interesting that he chose to do like white meat, like the turkey breast, and sous vide a turkey breast, which is interesting.
Yes.
I think like honestly, like the flavors or the intentions of the other two in terms of just like, I'm going with African flavors and then I'm going with Thai flavors. There's just so much stronger of an point of view,
I think, yes, I think you're totally right. Like in a challenge where it's like, put you on a plate, these judges will have no idea.
Super hard. Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
but you can't be like subtle with it, it seems. Dawn, speaking of which, I loved her idea, turkey peanut stew with sauteed vegetables and savory callas. That sounded fucking great. The stew didn't make it to the plate, but I guess what a testament to Dawn that she didn't even end up in the bottom without even having like a third of her dish.
Wild.
Damn, that's a baller move.
Yeah. For real.
Good technique.
Right? And then Jamie made lemongrass turkey with yellow curry couscous, sauteed rapini, and plum sauce.
Just a lot going on flavor-wise.
To me, this didn't have an anchor. It was sort of like the couscous. Jordan and I sort of like kind of joked, like Jordan was like, it looks like a sweet green bowl. And I was like, it looks like Mendocino Farms. It's just like, yeah.
Oh my God. I had a lot of Mendocino Farms when we were filming season 17.
Absolutely. And did you ever get their turmeric couscous? It's good, but that's what that looks
like. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad.
I was just like, sandwiches again.
as a vegetarian, I'm like, I can eat banh mi every day, but Mendocino Farms vegetarian options really test that proclamation.
I think sometimes you just want something else and you're just like, oh, a sandwich and salad again. Okay.
So yeah, I think that just didn't have like a focus to it compared to the other dishes.
Yeah, she's cute though. I love her little style. I love that she like does her thing in Vegas. She's probably off, like, gotta look her up, but like, I mean, that's awesome that she's got her own restaurant in Vegas and she's just doing her thing.
Absolutely. I'm going to Vegas in a week and a half.
Spring Mountain Road, babe. Stay out of the hotels. Spring Mountain Road is where to eat.
Spring Mountain Road. Okay, I'm writing it down.
That's where all your good food is.
Okay, I'm gonna look up Jamie's restaurant, see what's going on there.
Then we have
Chucker.
So Avishar made fried chucker with jol, pallav, and South Asian fried spiced pickles. It sounds good. Yeah. Brittany made chucker with sweet potato puree, red grape ravigote. I don't know how to say that. And calvados jus.
This, I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't sound bad, but I'm like not excited about it.
Yes. It sounded like a lot of sweet things.
There's a lot of sweed.
Yeah. Which I love, but I don't even know what chucker tastes, or like what partridge tastes like. So yeah. And then Nelson made Caribbean braised chucker with wild rice, black beans, and tostones. Yes, please. Thank you.
It'll be interesting to see if he has range.
Sure. Well, here's a question I'll ask. When people come in on the show, there's like a weird thing that I feel like sometimes happens to chefs of color on the show, where like, say you have someone that is, so like, I felt like this happened to Fatima for like a minute in Colorado, where like Padma kind of got on her, like, cook our flavors. I'm like, does she have to all the time?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Make pasta like until their hands bleed.
Like, show me versatility.
Yeah. And that, to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't mind if my chef is versatile. Like, their point of view doesn't necessarily just need to be like, I cook Pakistani food, I cook Chinese food, whatever. Right. There's another layer to that. So yeah, I find that a weird critique sometimes on the show. Yeah. Okay. So then at the judges,
it's just based on assumption. That's the whole thing.
Especially in the early season.
And technically a little bit of racism.
Oh, yes, Leanne, let's go.
Not intentionally, though, not maliciously.
No, but Tom said something to Hong. We watched the finale of season 3 last week, and 2 other episodes. Okay. And Hong's dish was like somewhere on the bottom. And he said, you were born in Vietnam. I'm not seeing that here. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't remember Hung being like, I only cook Vietnamese food. He's like a fine dining guy.
French chef, yeah.
Like French. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I don't know.
Again, not necessarily born out of malice, but I think they're just, again, when you're cooking for TV and it's just not, I don't think it's just reflective of who you are as a chef. You know what I mean? And there's the circumstances are so intense and so different, that like, again, some people deal better with pressure than others. And I think in the moment, especially with the clock and producers, and you're just intimidated by all the chefs that you're surrounded by, it's easy to forget how you cook and what you cook and who you are.
I can totally see that. I would never thrive in this environment. Yeah. So on the bottom we see Avishar, Jamie, Roscoe, and Sasha. On the top we see Sarah, Shota, Gabe, and Gabriel. And the winner ends up being Sarah, and Roscoe goes home, unfortunately.
Well, Roscoe goes to Last Chance Kitchen.
Sorry, that's true.
Last Chance Kitchen. That's right. He doesn't go home yet.
That's true. Can I say?
Roscoe gets sequestered in isolation till enough people are eliminated.
Oh,
but he gets his credit card. I think he gets his credit cards back. I think he might get his phone back. I don't know.
Oh, the phone.
Actually, he doesn't get his phone back. I'm sorry. That's a lie. That is.
Yeah, I was like, that would be wild. Wow. Well, a good thing he does art till because it's really boring. Yeah. So I freaking love Last Chance Kitchen. I actually was very excited to remember that. Wow, I get to see two things every week. Beautiful. So yeah, overall, I really dug this episode. How'd you guys feel?
I thought, considering the ground they had to cover, they definitely did a good job cramming it into 44 minutes. Like, that's like the amazing thing. And I think people ask, like, what? So how long does it take to film? And I just remember, like, I think our first season was like 3 weeks, and then actually working for it with, like, you did like 3 to 4 weeks of pre-production, and then 3 to 4 weeks of post-production. And it's like a 2-month thing if you're actually a crew on the show, And I think last time we went, it was like 3 to 4 weeks. We didn't have a ton of dark days, So it's a really intense, rigorous process of like filming an episode, because it's like you do your quick fire, and then usually you do your challenge reveal, you prep the same day, and the next day is your elimination challenge and judges table, which is like all day, all night.
Yeah.
And then you sometimes don't get a dark day and you just get thrown into it the day after. So but it's like essentially you're looking at like 36 hours of footage to like pare down to 44 minutes.
Absolutely disgusting. As a former video editor, horrible.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Oh my God. Truly incredible. Do people have more questions for Leanne? Please pop them in the chat. I mean, God, what was your favorite? Do you have like a favorite Top Chef memory, or like a fun fact that you like love to be like, you didn't know this?
Okay. Yes. Chicago season. I remember we would have these deals with I think Chicago was the first time we really set up with Whole Foods, right?
Yeah.
And so basically the deal that NBC Bravo had worked out is like, we had the culinary department had a budget. And this was the season where they're like, we need to stop we can't film the chefs going to shop for quick fires anymore. It takes too much time, too much money, too much coordination to coordinate a film crew. Like, they're already doing a shop for their elimination challenge. So you need, as a culinary producer, you need to set up the food display. You need to do all the shopping, provide all the ingredients, like bulk out the pantry. And then we need you to help create get all the special ingredients that they need for the quick fire is going to center around. I was like, okay, so this was a big, big change for culinary. And so we had this, we had our own budget that we could use at Whole Foods. And I remember the pastry quickfire that was going to be with my friend Johnny Uzzini. And I was like, I went into Whole Foods that week and I was like, listen, I'm going to come in this week and I'm going to buy your entire pastry counter. I'm literally going to buy probably everything in it. I need you guys to be prepared for this. And because they were like, what do we do for the reveal? The producers like, okay, what do we do for this reveal, this pastry challenge? I was like, why don't we just cover a table in desserts? Let's just like cover like sweets, everything you could possibly imagine, like a something just like a feast for the eyes of just like pastry. And like I go, at this point, I have both a minivan and like an Escalade. I have like two vehicles with me. And I basically cleared out the Whole Foods pastry counter. I left them like maybe like half a dozen brownies and like a couple of like mini shots of whatever. But yeah, I filled both of those vehicles, like literally seats down, floor to ceiling, with boxes of pastry. It was like I came back to set and like the crew was like, holy shit. Like we didn't have enough refrigeration. We like put the pastries like in all the fridges on set. We put them on all the fridges in the back of the set. We put them all the fridges offset. Like it was hilarious.
That firstly sounds like my absolute dream. And also is a thing I never even considered as part of one of your duties, because whenever you see a quick fire and it's like, our challenge today is cheese, and you'll just see this beautiful display of cheeses or whatever. But someone like you is making those displays. So like, oh my God.
I mean, I really got into the food styling thing. I really did. For a long time, it was a fun aspect of it. I remember setting up that table in Miami with all the weird, like the alligator and all the weird animals. Like doing these gigantic food displays and vegetable displays. And I think the pinnacle of when I was just like, I think I'm done with this was when we filmed the finale of season 6 in Napa. And that outdoor market that they did the quickfire at, basically spent the previous 12 hours in the dark building that market. And then they literally, we had to tear it down in like an hour. So like they come in, they shoot their bit, they like shop for 5 minutes, and then literally we had to tear it down and then bring all that produce over to Cyrus and trying to figure out how to fit it in Doug Keen's fridge. And then like utilize that produce to do another like vegetable display for their final elimination challenge. It was just like, and like use that produce to put produce on like the Napa train. Like there's just like all this, we were moving a pantry all weekend to film in Napa. And that was just like such a nightmare. And we called it build destroy, because we would like spend 18 hours building something and then tear it down in like half an hour.
Ooh, that is a nightmare. I used to do art department stuff for film and TV.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, that is, it's devastating. It's
kind of like what all your work that goes into like literally like 3 seconds of television. So
that's hard. And I think especially with like food and something you care about having to do that, I think
it's good. We always made sure that like we were donating the food and that like the food went to like soup kitchens, our PAs. We always made sure our productionists got some food to take home.
Okay,
so they're compensated in good, their bellies were full. So
be a PA on Top Chef to
I don't know what the rules are now, but
we do have a few questions from the viewers. How long did you work behind the scenes on Top Chef? It seems like till season 6.
They brought me on as a consultant for season 2 during the regular season. And then for the finale in Waikoloa, they actually gave me the producer job. And so that was like my test, was like how well I did in Hawaii. And that was such an interesting 2 weeks of my life. And I had a great time, and then they gave me the job. And so I went to Miami. I did season 4 in Chicago, season 5 in New York, season 6 in Vegas. I did the first Top Chef Masters in LA. So that was when I got to put in all the tech equipment in the kitchen. So like the blast freezer, the immersion circulators, the liquid nitrogen, all that stuff came in that season because I finally had an excuse to like be like, I need a budget. You need to give me more equipment. Like we're gonna have the best, and like the irony of that was like, maybe there were like 2 chefs out of that entire group that use any of that. Yeah. So, cause they're all old school. So, so I did that. And then after that, I decided I wanted to leave, I think after the Vegas season, cause it was a pretty intense season. And I think it's just, when you film back to back and when you're part of the crew, it's like you basically work 60 days in a row and you don't get a day off. And it's just like, in particular, the culinary department at the time, it was me and 2 assistants and a bunch of PAs. And now the culinary department is like 10 people deep, so it's just a different production now. And it was a lot of heavy lifting back then. It's still a lot of heavy lifting today. It's just, I think there's just more people to coordinate and more people who are able to help out. So So yeah, I think after that I was like, I am done making television. I like got into this to be a top chef and to like make my own career, and here I am producing TV, you know, and it was I'm glad I did it. It was a great opportunity, and it was an like life change. I will always have these people, the crew. I think the idea and the feeling of like finishing and completing an actual TV production, and those who work in television and movies and Hollywood just understand like the pride you take in like completing a project. And that was something that I'll always have with me. And just I think when we won the Emmy in season 6, I was like, this is good. I can put this to bed now. So
that's a good note to leave on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we don't want to keep you super long, so we might cut it there. Thank you so much, Leanne, for being on the show. Again, guys, if you want to donate to our charity for this season, Heart of Dinner, please Venmo at JORDANMYR1CK. All that info is in the chat and in the description. Oh my God, we always forget this. Leanne, the winning dish for this episode was Sarah's eggplant yogurt. Yeah. So we like to do a thing where we see what would you have made during this challenge. And we can say that you got any of the birds that you wanted.
Any of the birds that I wanted.
Yeah. You wanted duck.
So funny. I actually made a dish very close to Shota's for when I did Joy of Sake in Tokyo. Yeah. I did duck over a miso pumpkin puree with like it was using Japanese apples and chestnuts. So it was I was like, wow, it's like a beautiful dish. I did something really similar.
Yes.
No, I mean, I don't know. I would probably do something with duck and probably go a little bit Asian, you know, whether I do Chinese style with like black beans and like mushrooms. That's probably somewhere direction I would have gone towards. So 5 spice duck, yo.
Yes, we love that. And then one last thing, Leanne. You are top chef. That's how this show ends.
Thanks. I feel like it. I feel like I'm an OG.
You absolutely are. People in the chat are popping off about how much they learned from you. So about cooking and about the show.
I'm pretty sure I signed a contract as an employee that I can't, and as like a contestant that I can't like talk about it or reveal. But I have like, oh yeah, I got years of dirty secrets.
Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna go to Hawaii and go to your restaurant. You can tell us.
Cafe in Oahu, Papa Aina in Maui.
Okay, guys, please check Leanne's restaurants out if you're in Hawaii or find yourself there sometime. Leanne, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. And guys, all that charity info is in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we're gonna be back here next week for the newest episode of Top Chef Portland.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.